Okay, let's learn about genetic diagram. In genetic diagram, you need to write down parental phenotype. Say in this example, I have parental phenotype of tall crosses with short. Parental genotype, in this case, is a pure tall breed crossed with pure short breed. Gametes produce capital T and capital T. So basically you split them like this. Okay, so in your genetic diagram, you don't really need to write the arrow. So I'll remove the arrow. The arrow is just to help you understand how the gametes are formed. So in this case, it will cross with another gamete. So take note, when you write gametes, you have to circle up the alphabet, okay? And then don't forget to write cross because you are crossing between this breed and this breed. So there will be 3 crosses over here, and then you will have random fertilization. In random fertilization, it is important for you to write a dot below this gamete, write a dot below this gamete, write a dot below this gamete, and write a dot below this gamete, like that. Okay, so basically what happened here is you will have 4 more dots later. So here you have the gametes from the first parent, first gamete of first parent, first gamete of second parent. So here, from here you can see you get the capital T, and from here you get the small t. And then subsequently you get, you use the first gamete of the first parent made with the second gamete of the second parent. So here you get capital T, and this one you get small t. And then use the second gamete of the first parent made with the first gamete of the second parent. Again, this is capital T, this is small t. Okay? And then lastly, the second gamete of the first parent and the second gamete of the second parent. So you end up with capital T as well and a small t. Okay, so these are filial generation 1, F1, its genotype. So after you write down the genotype, do write down the phenotype as well. Okay, the phenotype will be tall, 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 tall. Okay, so F1 phenotype ratio, you don't really need to write down the genotype ratio because the genotype ratio is not something we can observe. But phenotype ratio, phenotype is something we can observe very easily. So we can use ratio to help us identify the genotypes. So in this case, they are all tall. Okay? Oops. So basically, this is how you draw a genetic diagram. Okay? So I'll be using a second instance, a second example. In this second example, I will be crossing between 2 heterozygous parent. Parental phenotype, which is tall, crossed with parental phenotype, which is tall as well. The genotype for tall is capital T, small t. This is a heterozygous. Crossed with a capital T, small t as well. The gametes in this case is split into 2. 1 capital T gamete, 1 small t gamete, cross with a capital T gamete and a small t gamete. So again, we're going to write 4 dots below each gamete and we start crossing them. The first gamete of first parent, the first gamete of second parent. So in this case, do you notice this is a capital T, this is also a capital T. So you end up with a capital T like that. Okay, then you have the first gamete of the first parent. The first gamete of first parent cross with the second gamete of the second parent. So here you can see a capital T and a small t. So it's a T like that. Then the second gamete cross with the first gamete. So capital T, always write capital first, although this one is at this side. Always write dominant trait first, then a recessive trait. Then after that, second gamete and second gamete, you're going to end up with small t, like this. So what are the phenotypes for this? Since this is a complete dominance, this is tall, this is completely dominant over small t, so you get a tall phenotype as well, and this is also tall, while this is short. So the F1 phenotype ratio will be 3 tall is to 1 short. In other words, 3 is to 1. Okay, Ken? Next, we will be looking at another version where a heterozygous parent cross with a homozygous recessive parent. So let's take a look at what ratio will we obtain. Parental phenotype short cross, so the genotype for short is small t. You split into 2, there will be 1 small t split here. This is also a small t. Okay, then you write 4 dots below the gametes. First gamete cross with the first gamete, you end up with capital T, small t. First gamete pair up with the second gamete, capital T, small t. Second gamete, first gamete, small t, and you have second gamete with second gamete, small t and small t. So the phenotype for this is tall. The phenotype for this is tall as well, while this is short and this is short. So in that case, what are the phenotype ratio? You get 2 is to 2. That means 1 tall is to 1 short. Okay? So if you are watching the video, I want you to pause at the right location to copy this down. So earlier I have shared with you 2 different instances of genetic diagram. Okay, you can go back and pause and copy down. And then this one you can also pause and copy down because I'm going to erase this. So if you remember, I've shared 3 genetic diagrams and 3 of them have different ratios. So this will tell us the 3 main ratio that your syllabus is asking you to memorize. So the first one is your pure breed cross with pure breed. Pure breed tall cross with pure breed short. You end up with all tall. This is the first one. The second one is when you have a heterozygous cross with heterozygous. You end up with TT, 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 like that. So this is a 3 dominant, or I'll just write this as a dominant trait. All dominant trait. While this one, 3 dominant trait is to 1 recessive trait. And then lastly, we have heterozygous cross with homozygous recessive. Okay, so here you end up with T, 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 like that. So this is 1 dominant is to 1 recessive. Okay, these ratios here, they're all very important because sometimes they would give you the offsprings ratio and ask you to, wait, you guys can't really see. This is 2 capital T. So sometimes they will provide you with the ratio of offspring and ask you to deduce what is the genotype of parents. So if you can memorize this, you can happily know what are the genotypes of the parents. Okay? So this is the end of genetic diagram. Bye-bye.